folks, you asked and they delivered. Not only is Ibex giving us an RV with a pizza oven, but they're also building one with a mother-in-law suite. Everybody, Josh the RV Nerd of Bish's RV down here at Ibex's facility today. They were kind enough to pull a bunch of these in so we could get a whole bunch of different tours of these things. So if you like the footage that you see today, click the little like button on the video, tell them thanks Ibex or something like that. But in the meantime, this is the 19MBH, and this is a really smart floor plan with a lot of kind of really hard features to find in this combination. So it's narrow body, it's lightweight, but it's tandem axle. Most of the time when you get narrow body, you don't get tandem axles. And this is a smart, easy, simple, no slide floor plan. And frankly, I think this model might work for folks who aren't looking for a family camper. Because yeah, it's a bunkhouse, as the MBH, the Murphy bunkhouse model designator kind of indicates. But at the same time, it doesn't like really go all in on an outside camp kitchen like a lot of models do. So it doesn't have this big bulky fixture under the mattress, under the bunks. So it could be an awesome cargo space. And I'm a folding e-bike owner. You could probably fit 2 folding e-bikes in there. Naturally, I didn't bring mine with me, so I couldn't check and verify that today. But I've done it on smaller campers, and I feel like this one would work too. Now, it is narrow body, but it's not the narrowest body out there. It's 7'4" wide, because that's basically how wide the axle stance is, so that everything kind of lines up. And speaking of that, this is riding in what they call their beast mode suspension, that Kurt independent trailing arm suspension package. If you want to go down the highways, it's going to be one of the best handling things out there. If you want to get off the highways and do some off-pavement camping, it's something that's going to be really well suited for that too, especially with the newly expanded solar and bigger inverter that come with these factory standard. So if you're shopping at a dealership, this might be kind of what it looks like when you first step in. And I kind of wanted to begin with it this way to sort of demonstrate the fact that if you don't care about a Murphy bed thing, you don't have to use it like a Murphy bed. You could just use it like a true queen bed, because that's actually one of the things I really like about the Ibex family of campers. They're going to be a 60 by 80 true queen bed across the board. Now, sometimes it's a folding Murphy bendy bed like this, and sometimes it's just a normal straight 60 by 80 true queen. What I'm getting at here is, like, if you want to be able to more easily replace the mattress, but give up the Murphy function, this is something you could throw like a Serta bed in if you are so inclined. You're going to see that TV can pivot around. It doesn't look like they've adopted smart TVs or anything like that. And to help keep you cool, you got yourself a 15,000 BTU air conditioner here. Now, this little model right here, the narrow bodies a lot of times are going to be non-centrally ducted air conditioning. But a big air conditioner in a small space usually is more than enough to overpower that. And there's going to be things that you probably love, hate about it. And some of these might be deal breakers. And I would love it if you left me feedback about what you like and what you don't in the comments. That's all cool. It doesn't always have to be sunshine and rainbows. But like down here, you see that footprint. They're one of the very few numbers of travel trailers that come with a factory standard central vacuum. Now, obviously, that's a little noisy. But you do have the central vac collection sucker unit on the left, but you've also got that little what I call electric dustpan. Because if you look at it, this is no floor vents, this is no slides, it's all one flat deck, easy, clean level. You can just sweep everything right up into it, and it'll just eat it all up and say, delicious, you know? I don't know why it uses that voice, but in my head it goes, it's so stupid. Anyway, they're using basically the largest 12-volt compressor fridge they could within the space that was available. That's one of those that's a little bit over 10 cubic foot in space. And I do like how they included a dedicated pantry next to that. Because that's the thing, like, what they're doing here is trying to give you the features of an 8-foot wide camper in a narrow body RV, but doing so still with tandem axles. Again, most of the time, not always, but most of the time in the RV industry, when you have something that is narrow body, it tends to be single axle, and the towing's just not the same. Let's be real about it. Let's be frank. I'd rather be Josh, but I could be frank for a second. The dinette, I'm not a big fan of the pedestal post, but part of the reason they're doing it is to add stability because they can't really do the folding legs that I really prefer due to the presence of the wheel well. That is actually one of the kind of catch-22s with this camper. With the beast mode suspension that they have on the outside of this thing that we're going to talk about more, it requires a very aggressive wheel well because those trailing arm suspension packages have to have a place where they can recoil. So, you know, that's where it happens right there. What do you think about the little accent light? It's surprisingly, like, bright in this area. Like, it really lights things up nicely. I don't know. I kind of like the look of it, but I'm also not an HGTV kind of like person. I'm not good with decor stuff. So if that ends up being gaudy and ugly, that also wouldn't surprise me. You might have noticed a gigantic campsite picture window right there. They're very good about putting windows wherever they could. You might notice how there's not dual windows across the Murphy sofa. And you're thinking, why didn't they just put a window right there? Did they get cheap or stupid? If you go back to the start of the video, you'll find the answer. That's where the awning arm is located. And it's kind of funny. Back in the days of manual awnings, you could put a manual awning arm over a window and nobody really flinched. But you can't really put a power awning arm over a window. It has to be flush. It doesn't work. So if you look at this, it just basically looks like a normal queen bed. I will say, if you look at the really aggressive side stands, it's not the most walk-around friendly north-south bed I've ever seen, so that's maybe a fair point for consideration. But you see all the household and USB outlets. One of the cool things with every single household outlet in this RV is that it is wired to a 2,000-watt inverter, and that's just standard. They have one of the best standard-sized inverters for anyone remotely close to this price point. Frankly, you can spend a whole lot more money and still not get that size of inverter from most manufacturers. Now, that TV can pivot around. You can see that in a couple different angles. You might also notice the little indirect accent lighting in those cabinets. I'm going to show you where that switch is located as we, turn our eyes into insect compound fly eyes and we look at this thing in, wide angle view. So first of all, you can see how easy it is to, put that away, open it back up, whatever works for you. That is very simple, easy, and direct. Additionally, the bed again being 60 by 80 True Queen, a taller person like me can, sleep on it without my feet hanging off the bed. Okay. And feeding the Bed Goblin Union, Ted, Fred, and Ned, the Bed Goblin Union. We don't talk about Ed after what he did. Also, there are headboard pockets behind those hanging wardrobes. They are not equipped with outlets. That actually is something that quite surprises me. I would really like a set of at least USB plugs up there myself, because I'm like a USB junkie. I have so many different USB rechargeable devices in my everyday household and life. And like me, my wife, my daughter, between headphones and AirPods and phone chargers and everything. If we go on vacation, my job when we get to the hotel room while my wife unpacks the suitcase is I set up the charging station because it takes time. But neither here nor there. You get the idea. It's easy up, easy down. It's a queen bed when you need it. But this is the cool thing about this floor plan. It gives us like a 30-foot camper in a 25-foot box. Tip to tail, tongue to bumper. I think this thing's just under 25 feet if memory serves correctly. Because this Murphy bed, it gives us the space of a slide out without actually having a slide out. Now you do have these handy little kind of storage shoe garage cubbies down here. But you know what I was thinking about that? There are so many people that camp with cats that the RV industry does not think about. A lot of the RV industry goes, oh, it's dog friendly. Well, a lot of people camp with cats too. More people camp with dogs, but people camp with cats too. That could be a solid spot for a litter box down there. Maybe not. Everybody has a little bit different feeling and opinion on that. By the way, I've got to ask this question. Why is Kansas said like Kansas, but Arkansas is not Arkansas? Like, what the heck? English language? What the heck? Which reminds me, the best types of canoes are Vulcanoes. I really need to get back on that medication. So, ignoring all of that, If you've watched a lot of my videos, you know I have this weird fascination with like the origin of language, and that's the English language. Maybe I'm biased because obviously it is my native language, but it is one of my favorites because it's not really its own language. It's just like this rough and rowdy kind of rapscallion that followed other languages into an alley and beat them up and took their pocket change. That's my favorite description ever for the English language, regardless. The cabinetry in here. Let me show you this. I'll teach you how to fish. If you open these up, if you reach around here, you can feel, or put your phone in selfie mode and look back there. You can feel how it is actually all pocket screwed. So it is screws into wood holding everything together. And you might have noticed, obviously, you had those struts holding those cabinet doors open, which is something that I personally really like. Now, let's be real. This RV is painfully short on countertop space. This kitchenette, if you will, in the inside is very minimal. I think that this RV really expects you and almost kind of requires you to do a lot of your cooking and prep work outside. This is not here for Thanksgiving dinner. A folding counter extension or something here would be awesome, but you got to remember with that Murphy bed folding down, you could have a conflict of space there, so sort of keep that in mind. They didn't really have other good spaces for outlets in the kitchen, but at least they did put you some over there in the kitchen. And you've also got, ooh, yeah, baby, for the cold bottled Coors Lights, you got the Barley Poppinator 37 series over there with the handy little key rings, which, I don't know, maybe that could be a handy little dog leash hanger or something like that as well. Moving down here, it does not have a propane oven. It does not have the option of a propane oven. Instead, what they have is something that I like, but some people really hate. They have a convection microwave oven mounted down where the oven could otherwise be located. What that allows them to do is maximize the overhead storage in this because it needs all the storage that it can possibly get. You can do a little bit of cookies and biscuits baking in a convection microwave. Is it the same as a propane oven? Well, I don't know. I've never used it. I'm a silly Midwestern boy who park camps all the time. We don't really use our oven, but my Southern friends who cook their biscuits every morning, let me know on that. In the meantime, if that doesn't work for you, we certainly have other RVs. But there's people like me, I don't use an oven. I kind of like that. And I personally don't mind a microwave being mounted really low because I don't like spilling hot soup down my arms. But there's some people who don't want to bend over to read the display or push the buttons. I totally get it. There's not a right or a wrong answer here. That's why there's so many different RVs, Now, this dinette can fold down into a sleeper. It's interesting. You might have noticed only one side is storage, only the side next to the bunks. If you look at the RV from the outside over here, there's some things under that bench, like power outlets and stuff. But I think only a part of that is used. I'm actually going to submit a little suggestion to Ibex to look into that, and if they can even open part of it, and even if they just make it like a little bit of a shoe garage off half of the side, half of something for storage is better than nothing of something for storage, in my opinion. Anyway, I don't know. Now, it's kind of interesting. All of our switches and controls and everything, they're all located right up here. But you have a couple of them over there, and then you have a couple of them over there. So these are going to be for our everyday use and function things like awning lights, ceiling lights, things like that. Our charge controllers right over there. These over here are going to be like, think of it like your monitor panel. This is where your water heater controls, water pump are located, and your holding tank heaters, because this does have 12-volt holding tank heaters across the board on it. You may have also noticed how these bunks over here have their own individual curtains. That's a really nice touch. And by the way, the bunks are 300-pound rated. Each bunk also does have its own set of USB plugs. And if I'm looking in there, looks like that's a pair of USB Type A's. Both bunks do have their own window. The top one opens for airflow. The bottom one also opens for airflow because that's going to double as a fire escape window. Now there is, some people freak out that it's a cargo door. They don't want a gas station murder hobo to come, grab their kids. I get it. That door right there deadbolts just like your primary entry door. So that's something. Now, if you're not familiar with this layout, you're looking at this and you can see maybe how it's a folding bunk and you're wondering why it doesn't have a cargo door off the back. It has one off the side. We're going to talk more about that when we step outside. Ooh, nice detail. I like the lock on the bathroom door. That's nice for a little peace of mind and privacy, especially when We do have a bathroom with a peekaboo I smell you door. Now, I've done some asking on that, and different manufacturers have different explanations, but this one does make sense because, it has the big XL Fajita Friday Fume Fight and Fart fan up here instead of the dollar store 4-inch variety. If you're going to move a lot of air out of the room, you have to move air back into the room. So that is why there's the gap at the top of this door. Now, that's not why every manufacturer does it. Some manufacturers do it because it's easier, cheaper, faster for production. Different strokes, different folks, basically. It depends on the equipment. Because there's always a little slot, a little gap under the door. The headroom in the shower is not amazing, but it's a 6.5-foot tall camper. Now, this is interesting. The narrow body Ibexes, like we're looking at here, they're 6.5-foot tall from floor to ceiling panel. When you move up to the 8-foot wide Ibexes, those are 6'9" tall inside. So they are wider and taller inside. So there's two very different size brackets between the Ibex family. And one of the other cool things, no slides, less worries. You're always in road mode, and that makes for easy stealth mode camping. So if you have to do an overnight, or if you get to a campsite late, you don't even have to unhook from your vehicle. You can literally just walk in here. You can use anything. You can, cook, you can sleep, you can eat, you can bathe, potentially. Oh, that reminds me. The shower is outfitted with a Shower Miser water saver system as well on these. Again, factory standard. There's very few options even available on these. And I tell you, once again, Ibex has been really earning my respect the last couple years. Because, if you look at this camper is less than 25 foot tip to tail total tongue to bumper length. And, we've got, that true queen bed. We've got a slightly smaller dinette, but we got the extra sleeping. We've got a sofa. There's a lot of things they've packed in here. But because they have stayed smartly weight conscious and didn't go cutthroat weight conscious, They've maintained the same GVW of a lot of tandem axle, bigger, heavier campers, which means they now have a larger cargo capacity. If you look, this thing has an absolutely outstanding cargo capacity. There is a major problem in the RV industry where a lot of RVs are basically anemic in terms of their cargo carrying capacity, and generally speaking, that is not something that Ibex struggles with. I really like the full front passenger compartment that you have in here, and again, if I'm being nitpicky, there's no lighting in here. That would have been a welcome feature, but it's I don't know. I feel like I can deal with it. Let's talk some construction points real quick, because that's actually one of the things I think Ibex does very well that you can't see. So they are an Azdel using brand. It is what I'm going to call single Azdel, where it's only under the fiberglass skin. That's true of all Ibexes until you get to their little kind of sort of a tiny home suite series. So the layer right under the fiberglass, that is Azdel. The underbelly is enclosed and does have 12-volt holding tank heaters, factory standard on all of these. But your floor decking, they're using an 1.25-inch plywood floor decking. They're using a 3/4-inch roof decking. Both of those thicknesses that I just listed are a chunk heavier and thicker than industry standard. So they're putting some key construction dollars where you can't see them, but also where they really matter. And that's something I really like and I really respect. I appreciate when manufacturers do things that aren't always the most obvious. Now, this is something I think is a really big deal with this brand. The Kurt trailing arm independent suspension package that they have on these really kind of first debuted on the Embers that you might have seen on this channel, but I don't care where it started. I love the fact that it's here because it is a true 4-wheel independent suspension package. And I tell you, I've personally test driven a couple campers now with that package right there, and it's probably one of the most expensive things that you could put under an RV in terms of running gear. But for my money, dollar for dollar, it's also one of the very best I've seen. Now, this is kind of cool. It's still a griddle. There is a griddle top that comes with this, but they're also including the handy little pizza cooker oven that we have out here. Now, I've not personally used it, and as the year rolls on, if you are an owner of one of these or if you've used something like that, I'd love to hear how well it does or doesn't work, and I'd love to be able to kind of share that feedback with the class. And obviously, we got the pizza peel right here, or as they like to call it here, the pizza paddle. That could be very handy for the pineapple pals, depending on the current activities upon which are being engaged. But that's an entirely different topic for an entirely different day. Moving on from here, they put a huge cargo door off the side of this thing. And if you notice, they don't put a cargo door off the back. Like a lot of times when you see a folding cargo bunk, it is a, off the rear wall cargo door. But a lot of times those cargo doors can be kind of narrow, and they can be a little bit difficult to load stuff in. I think that this side load with the extra wide door solves for as many problems as it creates. But what it does create is a very large cargo space right here. And if you notice, again, it's wide enough. I even though it's not like you can't load straight in, it's wide enough. I think you can kind of, curl stuff around. I feel like you could probably get some pretty big, serious cargo in there. And again, any existing Ibex owners with something like that, I'd love to hear from you. How useful have you found it? Or would you prefer it be a rear wall door? I'd be kind of curious. Working our way back around here, we do have 4 corner stabilizer jacks, which I'm apparently now kicking a broom or something. I just scared the absolute crap out of myself. Thankfully, I always travel with an extra pair of pants. You might notice, instead of the telescopic removable ladder, they have maintained a 250-pound rated ladder to get you up to that extra thick roof decking with some awesome features up there. So it's been a while since I got up here and got high on campers, but there's a lot to talk about in this. Again, first of all, most RVs have a 3/8 roof decking. That's okay. That's still walkable, and this is still a wood truss decking, like roof system, by the way. But they go with a 3/4 inch thick roof deck up here, so that it can hold more, like it's got like, it just holds about double as much weight per square foot as most things as a result, because it can disperse that weight. But you might notice they're also using this like roof rack cargo track system up here. What's really cool about that is, like, if you wanted to mount like bike racks or kayak racks up here, you could. But a lot of people aren't really interested in like adding a bike rack or cargo rack way on top of their camper, because it's not easy. Sometimes it feels a little unsafe to load stuff up here. But if you want to go nuts adding expanded solar panels, it gives you the space to do that without needing to screw anything into your roof membrane and mess up your factory warranty. Now, speaking of solar, last year they had a 200-watt base factory solar package, and that's cool. I don't know exactly when it started. It started a little bit after the 2024 production began, so there's some 24s that don't have this out there. But basically, most, and moving forward, eventually all, of the Ibex with the Beast Mode suspension package will now have 400 watts of factory standard solar, maintaining that 2,000 watt inverter. That doesn't make it the greatest be-all end-all boondock camper, but if you look dollar for dollar, pound for pound, what they're doing on this brand, they are really checking major boxes, and it's what I call punching above their weight class. And once again, thanks to the good men and women at Ibex for setting this up for us today and pulling this inside where it's nice and warm, because it is currently negative death degrees outside in Michiana, and I am certainly appreciating the more comfortable working environment. This is an easy, simple no-slide model. This is a perfect setup for my no-slide skeptics out there, and that's not a derogatory term. There's some folks who are like, man, I've just heard horror stories, or I had a bad experience with the slide. I like the simplicity. I like less seals, less upkeep. It means a little bit less space, but yeah, it also means some other benefits to go with it. And this is also cool. Again, the underbelly is enclosed. It is, they do have the holding tank heaters, but if you notice, it's a single sewer outlet, and your holding tank like gate valves, all of that stuff is actually protected up in the belly away from direct weather exposure. One other quick note over here. The water heater is gas and electric. A lot of manufacturers have gone to tankless on-demand water heaters, and what I'm gathering from you folks, my viewers, and I learned as much from you, probably more from you than I think you ever learned from me, but I'm finding that folks who do a mix of boondocking or primarily boondocking, they really like the gas electric water heater. Folks who are almost exclusive park campers really like the on-demand water heater. I'm a person who's always had a gas and electric water heater. I've always been a park camper. That water heater right there has never let me down. So I guess I'm cool with it. I'd kind of be curious about your thoughts, though. So let me know what you think of this one. it being narrow body, it does get a little tight in some spots. Again, the folding bendy bed, the fact you can see the top of the mattress, maybe those jellies ain't everyone's jam, but the fact is this is giving us an 8-foot wide tandem axle layout in a lighter, easier to tow narrow body package without a lot of compromise. And in some ways, they've actually gone above and beyond what a lot of the market does today. So I'd be kind of curious what you think about it. And to help you kind of make those decisions, I'll leave you some links in the video description for pricing, availability, and maybe videos to other models with a similar layout that I've done before. Let me know which one you go with and why, and what you think about this one right here. So until next time, thanks again for tuning in. Take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.